they announced, as I mentioned before, they announced 3 movies. The first one being James Mangold's biblical epic of Star Wars. Sounds super cool. Then they announced that Dave Filoni, who has been in the Star Wars Lucasfilm world for a very long time. He worked with George Lucas on the Clone Wars series. He works on The Mandalorian with Jon Favreau. He did some directing for the Mandalorian episodes. Well, they announced, kind of surprisingly out of nowhere, that Dave Filoni is going to direct a movie that will culminate, I think that's the right word, that will bring together the Mando-Verse that we've been watching on Disney Plus. Let's look at let's go to the Hollywood Reporter for a second and see what they have to say. This is what they have to say. One of the biggest surprises from this year's Star Wars celebration was the announcement that Dave Filoni would be developing and directing a feature film set in the New Republic era. Filoni already writes, directs, and executive produces multiple series on Disney Plus, including the currently streaming The Mandalorian, its spin-off The Book of Boba Fett, and the upcoming Ahsoka. They're interconnected, Favreau confirmed to The Wrap during the London celebration. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy has been hinting at doing a culminating story, and it's all been done very thoughtfully because now you have not just the film, but Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, Book of Boba Fett, and Mandalorian all existing in the same time periods. We have to make sure that it all coordinates well. Kennedy added, "The great thing about streaming is that we've been able to experiment with some storytelling and introduce some new stories and new characters that people haven't necessarily seen much of or explored. Or in Dave's case with Ahsoka, he's evolving from the animation he's been working on. So we have across the board everybody that's working in television and film. It's all the same people. We're all talking to one another. We're all aware of even what's going on in the gaming world and what's going on in the publishing world. So what evolves in streaming comes from those discussions and then moves into television," she continued. "So it isn't as though we were locked into certain things that are only in television and certain things that are only in the movies, are on the movie side. In fact, I think there's one of the things that's exciting about Ahsoka is that it'll evolve from the streaming space into the movie space." All right, I want to read that one more time. "In fact, I think that's one of the things that's exciting about Ahsoka is that it will evolve from the streaming space into the movie space." And that comes to us from The Wrap. Sorry, not not the Hollywood Reporter, The Wrap. All right. This is an interesting decision. I will say a year ago, this announcement comes out, and I think that's pretty cool. Wow, that's pretty ambitious that they're going to be doing that. The fact that they have announced a theatrical movie that will essentially be culminating or like completing some storylines or bringing characters from the Disney Plus shows onto the big screen is kind of interesting now because The Mandalorian's losing viewers for season 3. This news comes amongst as we're losing viewers on the latest Mandalorian season. And the Disney Plus Marvel shows, how do I put this? Haven't been great. They haven't been great. I mean, Book of Boba Fett I thought was just a disaster. I didn't like Book of Boba Fett at all. Obi-Wan was decent, but kind of disappointing. Mandalorian, season 1 and 2 I thought were very good. Season 3 though is taking a dip in its storytelling, to be honest with you, and it's losing some viewerships. It's interesting that they feel confident enough to put a movie that brings all these series together that don't seem to have the biggest fan base right now and putting that in theaters. I don't know exactly how that's going to work out for them in the long run, to be honest with you. Now, there's obviously time. There's obviously time between now and when they can put the movie out where they could win back some people. They can put out some, they mentioned Skeleton Crew, they mentioned Ahsoka. There's still series that haven't come out yet that will play into this movie that if they become big hits, if audiences love them, this movie could also benefit from that in the theaters. But when you just on surface level right now on paper, the fact that they would make this a theatrical movie, I would honestly consider this being a Disney Plus movie first before I would consider this being a theatrical movie. If that was me, because these characters exist on Disney Plus, that's where people are expected. That's where they've been conditioned to get these characters from. that putting this in theaters at this moment in time, I don't know if that's the smartest decision for Star Wars to do. Now, I'm not particularly that excited for this movie, if I'm being honest with you. Nothing against Dave Filoni. It's mostly to do with how I've been feeling about the series thus far. Like I mentioned before, Mandalorian Season 3 dipping. I didn't like Book of Boba Fett. So to go to a theater to see these characters that I've just occasionally checked in on my TV screen while sitting on the couch, I don't know if that's what I meant when I said I wanted Star Wars back on the big screen. I don't know. That's just me, guys, though. What do you guys think of this news? Are you guys excited for this? Do you guys think that at this moment in time, with the Mandalorian views slipping, with the Disney Plus shows not exactly being hits all the way around, do you think it's a good idea for Lucasfilm, for Star Wars, to make this movie and put that in theaters that people would have to go and pay for? Do you think that the fact that they're Disney Plus shows will hurt the fact when they become a movie? Comment down below. Let me know all your thoughts and opinions. I'm very curious to see what people are thinking about this announcement particularly. And without further ado, let's take a look at what you guys are saying about this.